What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Tech Tony podcast today. For a second, I forgot where I was. I was about to say YouTube, but this will be on YouTube anyways. But depending on where you guys are listening on this, whether podcast or watching the YouTube video, this is recorded live. So feel free to hit up Tech Tony on YouTube so you can see the full show as well. And today I have another guest with me. I have Brendan. Brendan, I cannot correctly pronounce your last name, so I'm not saying it.
No worries. It's pronounced Gan. It's a bit confusing because Gahan, but it's Gan.
Perfect. And keeping with the trend, this is another guy, another marketer that I met off of TikTok, chit-chatting, engaging with his content. He's got some amazing stuff. He's going to tell you a little bit more about how to find him online and what you guys can do to follow him and watch him as well. But Brendan, I'm going to let you take it from here, man. Please introduce yourself and give us a little backstory on you.
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm Brendan Gan. I'm my job is I'm a partner and chief social officer at a creative agency, Mechanism. We've got 4 offices, work with a bunch of Fortune 500 brands. The Effie's awarded us, I think, we were one of the top 10 most effective agencies of the year. And in my role, I oversee social for the brands that we're working on. That could be anything from sort of how we approach the community management and the content for their own channels. It could be influencer marketing, partnerships, digital stunts, social listening and reporting, and everything in between. And in terms of my background and stuff and sort of how I fell into this space, I graduated college in 2005. I got an internship at a boutique ad agency in San Francisco. And this was right at that era where social media was starting to become a thing.
Yeah.
And being the young guy in the office, everybody was asking me about it. And so I really gravitated towards it. And so I just started throwing out ideas and pitching them to clients. And eventually a couple of them stuck. I did a very early influencer activation with YouTubers in 2006 with these guys, Smosh. And it crashed the brand's website and we got millions of views. And I'm sort of like, all right, this is the thing for me. And
the host couldn't handle the traffic?
Yeah. I mean, the whole website crashed, I think, for the better part of that day, if I remember correctly. And, it was interesting because at the time I remember finding out how much people were spending on billboards. I was like, why would you even do that? It doesn't make sense.
That is true.
Yeah.
You're very correct in that sense.
And I was just coming out of school where I was a broke college kid. I'm like, that I could live a year off of that, and so then from that agency, I went and I joined Mechanism, and we ran social there in the early days of influencer marketing and all that. We did tons of early viral video campaigns, a lot of brand content campaigns, influencer marketing campaigns. And then I joined a startup in LA, and then I started my own company doing influencer marketing. And then in a very roundabout way, ended up selling it to Mechanism. And then I became a partner and chief social officer there. But how that happened is a longer story.
No, I got you. How long have you been doing the social media scene again?
Since 2005. I did that first influencer activation in 2006, but
Just out of curiosity,
2005.
Just out of curiosity, would it be okay for you to mention a couple of the brands you've worked with or currently work with?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just let people know the scope of work you've been involved in.
Yeah, some of our current clients are like we work with a bunch of Unilever brands, so like Ben & Jerry's, Talenti. We work with Amazon. We work with Adobe. We do Peloton. We do Jose Cuervo, Cricket Wireless, and a bunch of others that I'm Alaska Airlines.
Oh.
So a bunch of Fortune 500 brands. Those are ones we're working with now. but
Cricket, that was my first cell phone. I had a Cricket.
Yeah.
It was 19. That was a while back ago. Shoot, that's amazing, man. So using social media, and you pretty much grown your presence online for yourself, just by consistent posting. I assume practicing what you preach, correct?
A bit, yeah. And I would say, historically, I've not been the best about that. This year, I really made a concerted effort to change that, because it was sort of like that old phrase, what is it, like the shoemaker's, the cobbler's children has no shoes, or something like that.
Oh, yeah,
You're so busy working on social for other brands. It's very hard to sort of set aside that time to do it for yourself. And so this year I really wanted to do that, and I made a concerted effort to do it, and have been really enjoying it. It was, a part of it too is like sort of like proving to myself, like I know what it takes, having been doing this for so long, but like sometimes you don't get the opportunities to execute on ideas with brands or take a strategic approach, because there's so much happening. There's a lot of decision makers. There's a lot of bureaucracy at times. And so I sort of wanted to take control of something. Yeah.
Especially dealing with bigger brands, I can only imagine the stuff you have to jump through. Because primarily, this is just on the business side. My company, we tend to stay away from franchises, because I just realized I've always had a bad experience, because there's always someone above that person that needs to approve something, but these two people don't know about each other. So I'm like, come on, guys. Like, how are we supposed to get anything done? Type of deal. But a little bit on that I found out from Brandon is what's really funny is if you guys go follow him on TikTok, look him up, and you see his follower count versus accounts with more followers than him. He's verified. These other guys aren't. And it was a funny little video that we talked about earlier before we started this podcast, was how much hate you got for that, and how you kind of you defended yourself in the sense of I know what I'm doing type of deal. I thought that was very interesting, because it's self-proof. Like if I'm as a digital marketer, if I'm chasing, and I literally have to chase my clients out for content, I should be making it myself type of deal. Like if I can do it, my clients can do it too. There's no excuse. Mm-hmm. But speaking of content creation, Brandon, tell the people what you want to talk about today on the path of content creation.
Well, yeah. So we were talking earlier about like maybe talking about content strategy for brands, and I think there's a great framework that we apply and recommend to a lot of brands, and works really well for social. And actually, maybe before I even jump into that, I'll say if you're wondering about even like what your content should be, and you're at that stage, one thing I'd recommend is almost like make a Venn diagram, be like, what do I know a lot about? What am I really passionate about? Or, if you're representing a brand, like what does the brand really stand for? What are the qualities we want to be communicating? And then like, what can I do again and again and again? Like what's something that's relatively turnkey, it's not going to be so daunting, and sort of think about where those overlap and use that as a jumping off point to and a bit of a creative sandbox to begin developing ideas around what your channel, whatever that is, can really be bringing to life. And so once you've kind of gone through that exercise and you've got a general sense of what it is you're making, we really recommend, when we're working with brands, that they implement what's called the Hero Hub Help Framework. And basically what that is hero are your big campaign moments. You've got probably 2-3 of those in a year. Maybe you've got a big sale, a big product launch, whatever that big initiative is. And Black then you've Friday, got Hub. For example. Exactly. Yeah. Maybe it's Black Friday. And then you've got Hub, which is sort of your episodic content. And this is the type of thing that should really define your channel, and you should build a community around. So it's like, create a format, a very clear, defined structure, and then just execute upon that, whatever it is, every week, day, a couple times a week. this is a terrible example, but just to sort of bring it to life, think about, if you're a fitness brand, it's Motivation Monday. You can, it's like you can kind of plug in, like maybe it's a different motivation quote each Monday, or like Workout Wednesday, you share, whatever workout plan that Wednesday.
Yeah, one of the brands I follow, Moz, in my industry, Moz.com. I used to follow before they fired their original creator, I used to follow Whiteboard Wednesdays, and that was my thing. That was my SEO training, Whiteboard Wednesdays on YouTube.
Yeah, and those kinds of things, they really come to define what the channel stands for, and that consistency, I think, is really, really necessary within social, because you're competing with the entire internet. You can't constantly be sort of changing what you stand for or what you're talking about. You need consistency, otherwise people won't sort of know how to remember you. Because if you're everything, if you're trying to appeal to everyone, you're appealing to no one. So like the more defined you can be, the better off. And then that third bracket of content is help. And so it's like, what are people actively searching for? And that can be, trends, like, trends pop off. How can you participate in that in a relevant way? It can also be more evergreen, like search terms. Oftentimes.
Speaking my language there, buddy. Search terms.
Yeah, it's huge. And YouTube is the second largest search engine. So like, I bet if you just search social around your brand or your company, people are asking a million questions. Just use those as a jumping off point for content creation. And, that stuff can work for you for a long time. So really like,
go ahead. One of the things I use, I don't know what you guys use for trends. With my clients, I try to help them out with Google Trends is a pretty good engine. It's free. Explodingtopics.com and answerthepublic.com is another one that's pretty good to use too. Do you use these, or do you have anything in mind that you recommend?
Yeah, well, I love Google Trends. I look at that every day, pretty much. more just out of curiosity for myself than anything else. Usually from a work standpoint, we if we're working with the brand on more sort of like real-time stuff on Twitter, generally we'll have we'll use TweetDeck and sort of have some relevant terms or people relevant to our brand and category that are, we follow in a variety of different feeds. And that'll sort of be like a good guide in terms of, all right, what's popping off in the category that's relevant to us.
I don't use Twitter. Another marketer told me about Twitter. He told me, for those of you, I know I'm on the podcast, but it's called Spartoro trending. I don't know if you heard of Spartoro.
Is that for Twitter?
Apparently, it takes all the 24-hour tweets and you tell it, hey, what category do you want? So mine's digital marketing. So it'll every morning send me an alert and a list of all the tweets to digital marketing related. And you give it shoes, Nike, McDonald's, whatever you want, Spartoro to pull up, and it automatically populates it for you. I just started using it like 3 days ago.
I'm going to check that out. That sounds dope. Yeah. Well, and I think Twitter is really helpful because it's less of a place maybe to distribute content, but it's a place where like ideas really travel. So if you've got like something that's really clever, it can sort of pop off. If generally speaking, obviously there's always the exception that proves the rule. If you're trying to push out a very specific piece of content, or you want engagement on something specifically, that doesn't necessarily do as well. But if you want like an idea to travel, also it's just a place where so much of the press lives. Mm-hmm. It can kind of percolate far beyond Twitter at times.
So do you have a favorite, so I guess personally and professionally for yourself, do you have a favorite platform that you use for social media wise? And for professions, should they stick to Twitter? Because I know a lot of people don't use Twitter. I barely got into Twitter again myself 2.5 years ago, maybe. Now it's at the point where I schedule tweets to be put out. But like, is that a pretty good roundabout for everybody, or is it just industry and niche based?
I mean, I think Twitter is so massive. There's probably, whatever industry you're in, there are people that are relevant to it. I think with any of these things, it's sort of like you almost need to do a cost benefit analysis, because you can try and do everything, but do you have the time to do everything well? Probably not. So, you might have tons of customers on Twitter, but the amount of time and money you have to spend to reach them effectively doesn't make it the best use of your time. I mean, Twitter, I think, is great for more organic situations, but the paid side is not. It's not as great as like Facebook or Google or YouTube. It's just the level of targeting isn't quite there, generally speaking. So I don't want to tell anybody do or don't do it as a whole, but there are pros, cons, and I think if you're maybe a very snarky brand who can have some personality, or if you're maybe a brand that's very much evolves around events or moments in time, I think those are definitely sort of low-hanging fruit opportunities for Twitter. But just do a Google search around a Twitter search around your brand, and odds are you'll probably find a lot of stuff.
True that. I've definitely been leveraging Twitter a little bit more heavier, personally, for my brand. I don't really put any of my clients on Twitter. I don't think so. No, I do. I have a realtor on Twitter, but just now I just started using that as part of my research game. I'm starting to see engagements, like people are mentioning me or sharing my stuff, kind of a deal. But just like any other platform that a business starts on, it's just time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big time.
Dang, that's impressive. What else do you have people use or look at? What else do you recommend for businesses to do?
Yeah, I mean, so right now, everybody, there's sort of the foundational ones. There's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Those are sort of the constants with our brands, where we, brands that are skewing a bit more Gen Z. We're doing more and more TikTok activations. Brands that are more
really.
Yeah. We've done a few. Yeah, we've done a few branded hashtag challenges and stuff.
Just out of curiosity, have you guys done TikTok ads?
Yeah, well, so not the biddable ads. We've done the sponsored, branded hashtag challenge, and I forget what the ad unit's called exactly, but sort of the when you first sign in, you get that initial video. Oh gosh, I'm blanking on it. But
for those of you who listen to the podcast, just download TikTok. You know what we're talking about.
yeah. Sorry, I'm doing it.
You'll see the ads.
Basically, it's like a homepage takeover, sort of equivalent within TikTok.
And click out of it for like a second or something like that.
Yeah. So we've done those and some influencer activations to support those, but we have not done the biddable advertising yet.
Nice. I've had some luck with influencers, in the sense of I own 2 e-com stores, and so I'll send them. I'll say, hey, what does it take for you to talk about my products? Most of them are just to send me something. I'll have them pick something from the store. They'll get it, receive it, make a video, and then I'll get it. It's interesting working with influencers, at seeing the amount of traffic I'll get from sending someone an item from my store, and they're like, oh, look at this, we got this from one of my stores, snapshotkitchen.com, and it's a kitchen store. I got this from Snapshot Kitchen. They'll talk about it, and then I'll see my sales go up for about a good 2-3 days. Like, this is nice, for literally $50, make several $100s. It's great. I love influencer marketing.
Yeah. I mean, it's effective. People, if you work with the right influencers in the right way, I would say it'll beat most other things on from a cost standpoint. Not everything, but or not all the time, but I would say most of the time, if you're going to kind of say, you know, how's a TV ad going to perform versus an influencer. If they're going to reach the same amount of people, it's going to be an influencer, hands down.
Oh yeah, you're definitely right. Back to that billboard example you gave earlier. I couldn't. There's no way in heck I'd be able to make the amount of money that an influencer does. Or I could get an influencer for a $50 product off my store, shipping and handling included. Send them that product. They give me a Instagram story, Instagram shout out, and maybe some of them made me a TikTok video that I can reuse, and I'll make one guy said it was $68 coffee maker product off my store. He did a review on it. I made easily $1,000 off a $50 investment. You can't do that with a TV ad or billboard. You just can't. The profit, the amount, the return on that investment is so much greater.
100%. Well, and I think that's with like really any sort of emerging space, which, I mean, influencers, it's not even an emerging space. I mean, it's been around for, whatever, 15 plus years at this point. So, but it's, I think the fact that you can sort of find these, areas, there's still plenty of areas where you can kind of hack it and growth hack things. And influencer marketing is one. There's tons of emerging social platforms where, it's much easier to kind of develop a presence, and you can sort of get a disproportionate amount of value.
That's true. It's just, and with anyone listening to this, the first step is just to start making the content, start having a presence on something.
100%. And don't stop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And don't. Yeah, man. I messed up one time on my podcast and didn't post for 2 weeks, and my analytics just tanked. I was like, really, Spotify, this is what we're gonna do now. So it's back up now. I'm back to being once a week, because I gotta remember that you mentioned earlier the consistency things, being consistent with it, making sure your brand is aware when you're posting, how you're posting, type of deal. I use a program called OneUp to help me with my social media posting, but I'm trying to be more consistent, especially my YouTube videos, because YouTube likes consistency as well. I'm definitely not consistent on YouTube. I'm posting every week, but it's not on the same day every week.
Yeah, it's super important. It also helps you, I think, learn, which I think is a big part of the process. It's sort of like, people want to come out of the gates and make a big splash, but that's generally not how it works. It's, it's 10 years to make an overnight success sort of thing. You need to kind of bang your head against the wall and just make small tweaks, and let those add up, and they will. And so, by being consistent and sort of applying learnings time and time again, those little 1% changes really add up.
Yeah, that's the truth. And I'm running along with what you said earlier, you yourself are trying to post more often. As a business owner, after dealing with, I'm sure you have the same thing, dealing with everybody else's stuff, by the time you get to your stuff, you're just kind of like, all right, I gotta make a video, or I gotta make a post somewhere, and I just post it. This is the thing I've seen. I just got one of my lawyer clients onto TikTok, and I helped him make one video, and it got over 11,000 views. And I posted the video myself, and it got like 800 views. And I was like, what the hell is this crap? But at least my clients are doing better than me. I guess that's the final point. They're happy.
That's funny. Well, yeah, I mean, as long as your clients are doing well, that's good.
That's what counts, of course. Speaking of clients, Brendan, if anyone wants to reach out to you and see what you can do for them, where can they find you? How do they find you? And what do they need to do to contact you?
Yeah. So, if you just search my name, Brendan Gahan, BRENDAN GAHAN, whatever your preferred platform is, you'll find me. Maybe as an ask, I'll say, if you want to sign up for my newsletter, that would be ideal, because I'm sort of just recently restarted that. So if you just go to brendangahan.com, you can sign up for my newsletter, and I send those out once a week. And I would like to think that I have a lot of good kind of social media frameworks and insights and case studies and principles that people would find interesting and helpful. And then the agency I'm at is Mechanism, MEKANISM, if they want to check out that work. But yeah, sign up for my newsletter.
Nice. I'll actually have to look. Do you have a link in your bio on TikTok to that?
Yeah, I do. So yeah, if you're on TikTok, you can link in bio.
Perfect, man. Well, I appreciate you taking your time out of the show. And guys, please check him out. Follow him on all his social media platforms. Like you said, just looking up by his name. And until next week, happy marketing.